Hello everyone, welcome to the SAP Beginner to Career video series. Today we are in our session number 3. We are going to discuss about SAP GUI versus SAP Fiori. It's about SAP user interfaces. Let's move into the introduction. Did you know SAP users used to work only with a complex gray screens full of codes? At the beginning, in every software there is a revolution, there is evolution. So with that, at the beginning SAP users used to work only with complex gray screens full of codes. It's like a collection of codes. So that's how SAP begins their journey. But when it comes to today, they have user-friendly modern interfaces. So we are going to talk about the evolution of those interfaces, what mean by GUI and Fiori. So it's all about learning about interfaces. So today we have more user-friendly modern interfaces with dashboards and beautiful icons. In this session, we will compare SAP GUI, we call it classic interface, and SAP Fiori, which is SAP modern interface. So let's have a look at the interfaces of SAP. What is SAP GUI? What do you mean by GUI? GUI means graphical user interface. GUI, graphical user interface. As you can see in the screen, it's look like this bunch of what we call the steps folders. So traditional desktop client used to access SAP. If you want to access SAP GUI, you need to log into your desktop. You cannot access to GUI using your mobile phone or maybe tablet. It's a must to have a desktop to log into SAP GUI. And in this GUI, you need to know SAP T codes. We call this transaction code because this system operates using a transaction code based. As an example, FB50, ME21 and VA01. Likewise, for each module, for each transaction, there are this kind of codes. So you need to enter this code, or maybe you need to find it using easy access menu. As a super user or maybe end user or maybe a consultant, you need to remember those codes to work in GUI. Without knowing code, you cannot operate in GUI. Otherwise, you need to go to SAP Easy Access and find where this transaction code is located. This is good, like this is okay for SAP experts, people who know T codes, but it's not really user friendly to beginners, because beginners can't remember all these transaction codes. No, so it's not easy for beginners. Let me show you using my trial system how SAP GUI looks like. And especially I need to mention in ECC, this GUI, this interface used widely, and still, even though we have now transformed to SAP S4HANA, in S4HANA we still use GUI, but in ECC widely GUI was used. Okay, this is what I call SAP GUI, graphical user interface. You need to put your username and passwords like this. When you're going there, the screen comes to enter your username and password. So once you enter username password, you will go to a screen like this. We call it SAP Easy Access. So you can favorite your any transaction code or maybe folder, so it can be done. So this is the SAP menu. This is how it looks like. So in each folder there are sub folders there. Likewise, so as an example, if you want to go to logistics, you can click on this little down arrow, and under logistics there are material managements, all the configuration related to material managements lists here. Even in material management, purchasing there, inventory managements there. So under purchasing you need to like if you need to do any configurations in purchasing, so you can click on there. Sorry, not configuration, transaction, so you can go there. Purchase order, how to create purchase order. And release, individual releases are there likewise. When we are click on this each transaction, what we call the each folder, you can go to the particular transaction code if you don't know the transaction. So here, start of application, this is how it looks like. If you wanna create a purchase order, you can create purchase order using this screen. Okay, so if you know the transaction code, you don't need to search like this, just you can type here. I'll go the same exam ME21N to create purchase order. Now I know at the transaction code, then I can just type here, and using transaction code you can go to the interface, relevant interface. So how this is how SAP GUI works. And if you want to get a new GUI, you can get it here. So likewise there are so many tabs are there, so do any customization like layout options there. So this is about SAP GUI.
And then click on login.
Right away I'll show you how Fiori works. So I'll get a video from internet, as I haven't still configured Fiori tiles in my demo system. So how this is how SAP Fiori looks like. So if I go back few seconds, so it also has this kind of a logon screen. There you can log into SAP Fiori, and this like this you can see all the tiles activated to your logon. Then these are the tiles and these are the catalogs. So this is how Fiori interfaces looks like. Previously I show you how SAP GUI looks like. Now this is how SAP Fiori looks like. So by clicking in each tile, you can go to relevant transaction. As an example, if you want to create a purchase order, you can click on relevant purchase order tile, and you can execute the transaction. So there are many options like this. So if you want a more detail about Fiori, just there are plenty of videos available in the internet. So likewise have a look at. Once I configured my Fiori, I'll also conduct a separate session on how to operate SAP Fiori. So this is just a highlight about how Fiori looks like. Let's try to understand what mean by SAP Fiori. I showed you how SAP Fiori looks like, and its modern role-based web and mobile interface. The what we call the difference between GUI and Fiori is you can operate SAP GUI, you can log into SAP GUI only using your desktop. But when it comes to Fiori, it's a modern role-based web and mobile interface where you can access SAP Fiori using desktop or maybe your mobile device or maybe any device. You can log into SAP Fiori and do your transactions. So it works on browsers, tablets and smartphones. This basically focuses on simplicity and easy of use. SAP GUI more like a transactional interface, where Fiori has improved. It's provide more user experiences than SAP GUI. Uses tiles instead of T codes. As I mentioned you, if you want to do a transaction in SAP GUI, you need to use transaction codes. But when it comes to Fiori, you can search the transaction by its name in search bar, or else you can just click on the visible tile and access to that particular transaction. Designed with UX principle. What means by UX principles? Which means this is not just a user interface, not just a UI. This is more than UI, and it gives user experiences. We call it UX, which is user experience. So it's intuitive, responsive, and customizable. So let's move in to understand the key differences between SAP GUI and Fiori. When it comes to the access, SAP GUI can be accessed via desktop client, and SAP Fiori can be accessed via browser, mobile, tablet, or any other device. Navigation: if you want to log into SAP GUI and operate, you need to use transaction codes. Via SAP Fiori, you can use SAP Fiori tiles. Learning curve: it's like steep learning curve. You need to have a proper training on how to navigate using transaction code, as well as you need to remember those transaction code. But when it comes to SAP Fiori, based on your job role, all the tiles has been activated, and you can just click on the tile and log into your transaction code. Or maybe you can search in search bar like purchase order creation or purchase requisition creation, like was using your natural language. You can log into SAP Fiori and use your transaction code. User experience: SAP GUI, we can call it as it's complex and more into technical, but in SAP Fiori it's modern, role-based, and simple user experience. Technology: SAP GUI use in ECC and HANA, and Fiori comes as default technology for S4HANA, but still GUI also used in HANA. So let's have a look at the advantages of SAP Fiori. What are the advantages of this interface? It improves user adoption, because compared to SAP GUI, users can understand how system operates, and they don't feel like it's more technical. So it's very easy for beginners. With that, we call it improves user adoption. Saves time with simplified processes. You have given role-based access. All the tiles has been activated which are relevant to your role. So it's save time. You don't need to go to easy access and navigate. It's very simplified process. The relevant transaction app is visible, so it's easy. You can log into your system and do the transactional activities. Also, more importantly, it's mobile ready. Your managers can approve POs on the go. As an example, let's say your manager now in overseas, he hasn't bring his laptop with him. Now there is a purchase requisition, there is a purchase order which has flowed for his approval. Without laptop, he cannot log into a SAP system, SAP GUI. But with SAP Fiori, he can use his tablet or his mobile device to log into SAP system, and he can do his transaction on the go. So that we call mobile ready, so that benefit is there. Consistent UX across devices. UX means user experience, so it's consistent across all devices. Even though you use your desktop, tablet or mobile phone, across all devices, it gives same user experience. Helps companies in digital transformation. What I mean by this is, this gives all above benefits, and it really easy for newcomers or maybe beginners to adapt to systems, so they don't show resistance to adopt to the system. With that, companies can easily go for digital transformation. Users don't see Fiori as another complex system solution, so they don't see it as a complex solution, so it really easy for companies for their digital transformation journey. Now we have discovered the advantages of SAP Fiori, but with that, it doesn't mean that SAP GUI is bringing continuous disadvantages. So let's have a look at the incidents where SAP GUI is still useful. Power users and consultants who know T-codes. When it comes to power users and consultants, they already know system. They already know T-codes. So SAP GUI much familiar for them than SAP Fiori. Some complex transaction not yet redesigned in SAP Fiori. SAP GUI and Fiori are two different interfaces. GUI has almost all the transaction codes which are required to run your organization. But when it comes to Fiori, it's still in its journey, so all the transaction codes are not onboarded to Fiori yet. At that case, still companies needs to use SAP GUI. Coexistence. S/4HANA supports both GUI and Fiori. ECC widely used GUI, but when it comes to HANA, either you can go for Fiori, either you can go for GUI, or you can use both interfaces. As an example, you can use SAP GUI for your main transactional activities, while you can give SAP Fiori access to your middle level managers who are frequently traveling, who don't have access to their laptop all the times. Likewise, based on the business situation, based on the requirement, you can use both interfaces. Okay, so as a summary, today we talked about SAP GUI and SAP Fiori. So now I think you have a better understanding about these two different interfaces. So we call those interfaces what you see when you are logging to your SAP system, that's the interface. So with the S/4HANA development, they have introduced this modern interface which called SAP Fiori, but still SAP GUI are commonly used by organizations in their SAP day-to-day transactions. So with that, in next session we are gonna talk about SAP modules overview. What are the functional modules, technical modules, and industry specific solutions. So stay tuned. We'll meet in the next session. Thank you for watching.